Overcoming shyness in English conversations. On Thursday, I went back to school, excited but a bit anxious. During class, a student asked an intriguing question. I feel very shy when speaking English. Can you help me overcome my shyness? Our teacher responded with empathy, acknowledging that it's natural to feel uncertain or shy when speaking a foreign language. She shared her own experience, revealing that she too felt shy and embarrassed when she made mistakes while learning new languages. Over time, she learned to focus on communication rather than perfection. She explained that everyone makes mistakes, and it's crucial not to let shyness prevent us from practicing. She compared language learning to a journey, emphasizing that it's not possible to become perfect in one day. The key is to embrace the process and recognize the value in every step taken, no matter how small. Our teacher reassured us that feeling shy is a common experience and that as we practice and use the language more, our confidence will grow. I found her advice reassuring. She encouraged us to view ourselves as learners who are on a path to improvement, and to appreciate the progress we've already made. It's normal to feel self-conscious, but the important thing is to continue speaking and practicing. The teacher also mentioned that we often judge ourselves too harshly, aiming for perfection when it's not necessary. Instead, she suggested focusing on the progress we've made and understanding that fluency comes with practice and time. A classmate voiced a concern about not knowing a word and feeling stuck. Our teacher addressed this by explaining that it's essential to learn how to describe words when we don't know them. This skill helps in communicating effectively even when we lack specific vocabulary. She recommended practicing this ability by thinking aloud and describing things using the words we do know. This technique helps bridge the gaps in our vocabulary and improves our overall language skills. Our teacher's explanation was both practical and insightful. She stressed that no one can know every word in the English language. Native speakers themselves often come across words they aren't familiar with. What's important is to develop strategies that allow us to communicate effectively, even when we don't have the exact words at hand. One of the most powerful strategies she introduced was the use of circumlocution. Circumlocution is the art of describing a word or concept using other words when you don't know the specific term. For example, if you forget the word refrigerator, you could say, the machine that keeps food cold. Or if you can't recall the word compass, you might describe it as the tool that helps you find direction by pointing north. This way, the person you're speaking to can still understand you, even though you didn't use the precise word. This method isn't just about filling in vocabulary gaps. It's a practical communication skill that helps you keep conversations flowing. It also encourages creative thinking, which is essential in becoming a more flexible speaker. Instead of freezing or becoming frustrated when you don't know a word, circumlocution helps you push through the conversation, maintaining confidence while improving your fluency. To practice this, our teacher recommended a few simple exercises. One exercise is thinking aloud, which means narrating your actions or thoughts in English as you go about your day. For example, while making breakfast, you might say, I am boiling water for tea, or I'm cutting an apple. This helps you become comfortable with forming sentences on the spot, and it's also an excellent way to reinforce vocabulary you already know. Another exercise she suggested is describing objects around you using the vocabulary you have. Pick a few items in your room and describe them aloud without using their names. For instance, instead of saying book, describe it as something with pages that you read to learn or for enjoyment. This exercise helps train your brain to work with the words you know, and it strengthens your ability to communicate even when your vocabulary is limited. Our teacher also reminded us that learning to describe things rather than just memorizing words builds a much deeper connection to the language. When you describe a concept, you are not only practicing vocabulary, but also thinking critically about how words work together to form meaning. This is a key step toward becoming a more fluent and confident speaker. Another point our teacher emphasized is the importance of context clues. When you encounter a word you don't know in conversation, rather than panicking, you can often infer its meaning based on the other words around it or the situation. For example, if someone says, "I'm going to grab an umbrella because it looks like rain," even if you don't know the word umbrella, the context, mentioning rain, gives you a strong hint that it's something used to protect you from getting wet. This leads to a bigger lesson. Don't be afraid of not knowing everything. Conversations are collaborative, and when you don't know a word, you can always ask the person you're speaking with for clarification or simply move forward by describing what you mean. This doesn't make you any less capable as a speaker. In fact, it demonstrates resourcefulness and a willingness to keep the conversation going. The teacher's final piece of advice on overcoming shyness was to practice in low-pressure environments. Start by speaking English with friends or family members who are supportive, or even try talking to yourself in a mirror. These small, private practice sessions build confidence and reduce the fear of judgment. You can also use language learning apps that provide structured conversations to practice speaking without the pressure of a real-life audience. She encouraged us to celebrate our small wins. Language learning is a long process, and progress can often feel slow. But each conversation, each word you learn, and each time you speak up is a step forward. It's important to acknowledge these achievements and use them as motivation to keep going. By the end of the lesson, it was clear that shyness in speaking English is something that can be managed with patience and the right strategies. Our teacher's advice, learning to describe what you don't know, thinking aloud, and practicing in safe environments, offered us tools we can use to feel more confident in conversations, even when we stumble. If you're new to the channel, please don't forget to subscribe for more parts of my learning journey here in London. And be sure to check out the playlist of previously uploaded episodes. You won't want to miss them.